everyone. This is Sir John, your teacher for today's episode. I am here to help you master the key concepts of functions, specifically on representing functions in real-life situations. After going through this lesson, you are expected to: first, recall the concepts of relations and functions. Second, define and explain functional relationship as mathematical model of situation. And third, represent real-life situation using functions including piecewise function. Welcome to the first lesson of your general mathematics. This lesson will give you the practical application of functions in a real-life situation, including the piecewise function. When you are in grade 8, you already encountered relation and function. But in this lesson, let's take into a deeper sense of how this topic can be useful in our daily life. Are you all ready? Before we proceed in representing real-life scenario using function, let's go back to where we start. What have you remembered about relations and functions? A relation is any set of ordered pairs. The set of all first elements of the ordered pairs is called the domain of the relation, and the set of all second elements is called the range. A function is a relation or rule of correspondence between two elements, the domain and the range, such that each element in the domain corresponds to exactly one element in the range. To further understand function, let's study the following. Given the following ordered pairs: A, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, and 4, 5. For B, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, and 6, 6. For C, we have 1, 0, 0, 1, negative 1, 0, and 0, negative 1. And for D, we have AB, BC, CD, and AD. Which are functions? You are right. The relations A and B are functions because each element in the domain corresponds to a unique element in the range. Meanwhile, relations C and D are not functions because they contain ordered pairs with the same domain. For C, we have 0, 1 and 0, negative 1. For D, we have AB and AD. How about from the given table of values? Which relation shows a function? We have your A here, and we have also B here, and of course C. Identify the functions. That's right. A and B are functions since all of the values of x corresponds to exactly one value of y. Unlike table C, where negative 1 corresponds to two values, 4 and 1. We can also identify a function given a diagram. On the following mapping diagrams, which do you think represents functions? For A, we have the domain is ABC and connected to the range x and y. We have also for B, we have xy is paired to A and B. And lastly, for C, we have Jana, Donna, and Maya is paired to Ken, Mark, and Ray. Can you identify the function? Take note that each element in the domain should be paired to exactly one element in the range. You are correct. The relations A and C are functions because each element in the domain corresponds to a unique element in the range. However, P is a mere relation and not function because there is a domain which corresponds to more than one range. How about if the given are graph of relations? Can you identify which are functions? Do you still remember the vertical line test? A relation between two sets of numbers can be illustrated by graph in the Cartesian plane, and that a function passes the vertical line test. A graph of a relation is a function if and only a vertical line drawn passing through the graph intersects it at exactly one point. Using the vertical line test, can you identify the graphs of functions? Let's start with A. How about for B? And C? Of course, D. Yes, that's right. A and C are graphs of functions, while B and D are not because they do not pass the vertical line test. In mathematics, we can represent functions in different ways. It can be represented through words, tables, mappings, equations, and graphs. We said that for a relation to become a function, the value of the domain must correspond to a single value of the range. Let's read some of the conversations and determine if they can be classified as function or not. First scenario. June and May are in a long-time relationship until June realized that he wants to marry May.
We're together for the last 7 years, and I believe you are my forever. Will you marry me?
If I said yes, what could you promise me?
I promise to love you forever, to be faithful and loyal to you until my last breath.
I love you too, and I will marry you.
Scenario 2. Kim is naturally born Filipino, but because of her eyes, many people confused if she is a Chinese. Let's see how she responds to her new classmates who are asking if she is a Chinese.
Classmates, are you a Chinese? No, classmate. I was born Filipino and my parents were also pure Filipino.
Kim, I thought you are a Chinese because of your feature.
Haha, many have said that, but my veins run a pure Filipino blood. Hey Kim, can you teach me some Chinese language? I love Chinese, but I'm sorry I can't teach you because I am Filipino. I was born Filipino and will die as Filipino.
The last scenario. As part of their requirements in statistics class, Andre made a survey on the religion of his classmates, and here's what he found out.
Good morning, classmates. As our requirement in statistics, may I know your religion? I am a Catholic. I am also a Catholic. I am a member of the Iglesia Ni Cristo. I am a born-again Christian.
My family is a Muslim. We are sacred a Catholic family.
Thank you, classmate.
Okay, I would like you to reflect on those three scenarios. So first, from the above conversations, which scenarios do you think can be classified as function? Second, state the reasons why or why not the above scenarios are function. Functions are representation of real-life situations. Functions can often be used to model real-life situations. Identifying an appropriate functional model will lead to a better understanding of various phenomena. The above scenarios are all examples of relations that shows functions. Monogamous marriage, Christian countries, is an example of functions when there is faith and loyalty. Let's say June is the domain and Maine is the range. When there is faithfulness in their marriage, there will be one-to-one relationship, one domain and one range. Nationality could also illustrate a function. We expect that at least one person has one nationality. Let's say Kim is the domain and her nationality is the range. Therefore, there is one-to-one relationship since Kim was born and lived in the Philippines. She can never have multiple nationalities except Filipino. Religion is also an example of function because person can never have two religions. Inside the classroom, three classmates said they are Catholics. This shows many to one relationship. Classmates being the domain and religion being the range indicate the different values of domain and have one value of range. One-to-one relationship was also illustrated by the classmate who said that they are born again, Muslim and Iglesia ni Cristo. One student to one religion. Function can be illustrated as a machine where there is the input and the output. When you put an object into a machine, you expect a product as output after the process being done by the machine. For example, we have here, when you put an orange fruit to a juicer, you expect an orange juice as the output and not a grape juice, or you will never expect to have two kinds of juices, either orange or grapes. You have learned that function can be represented by equation. Since output y is dependent on input x, we can say that y is a function of x. For example, if a function machine always adds 3 to whatever you put in it, therefore, we can derive an equation of x plus 3 is equal to y, or f of x is equal to x plus 3, when f of x is equal to y. Let's try the following real-life situation. If height h is a function of age a, give a function h that can represent the height of a person in a age. If every year the height is added by 2 inches. Since every year the height is added by 2 inches, then the height function is h of a is equal to 2 plus a. Okay, let's have another example. If distance d is a function of time, give a function that can represent the distance of a car travels in time t if every hour the car travels 60 kilometers. Since every hour the car travels 60 kilometers, therefore, the distance function is given by d of t is equal to ct. Let's have the third one. Give a function b that can represent the amount of battery charge of a cellular phone in each hour. If 12% of battery was lost every hour. Since every hour loses 12% of the battery, then the amount of battery function is b of h is equal to 100 minus 0.12 h. So this time, we will now be having piecewise function. There are functions that requires more than one formula in order to obtain the given output. There are instances when we need to describe situation in which a rule or relationship changes as the input value crosses certain boundaries. In this case, we need to apply the piecewise function. A piecewise function is a function in which more than one formula is used to define the output. Each formula has its own domain, and the domain of the function is the union of all these smaller domains. We notate this idea like this. F of x is equal to formula 1 if x is in the domain of 1. Formula 2 if x is in the domain of 2, and formula 3 if x is in the domain of 3. Look at this example. A user is charged 250 pesos monthly for a particular mobile plan, which includes 200 free text messages. Messages in excess of 200 are charged 1 peso each. Represent the monthly cost for text messaging using the function T of M, where M is the number of messages sent in a month. Okay, so to solve for this one, so we have for sending messages of not exceeding 200. So what will be the equation if the number of messages will not be exceeding 200 pesos? So whether it is 190, 10, 50, you will still pay 250, right? Therefore, we will use a constant function, 250. So if m is less than or equal to 200 but greater than 0, your value will still be 250. Okay?
Messages in excess of 200 are charged 1 peso each. So for you to determine the charge of the excess, you should first know how many are the excess. So how will you determine the number of the excess? So you need to subtract 200 from the number of text messages. Since the number of messages sent in a month is represented by m, therefore, the formula in finding the excess is m minus 200. Given that the excess is m minus 200 and the charge is 1 peso each, therefore, the charge for the excess is 1 times m minus 200. Finally, to get the total bill, just add the monthly charge and the charge for the excess. Since the monthly charge is 250 and the excess charge is given by 1 times the quantity m minus 200, then we can now have 250 plus 1 times the quantity m minus 200. So, to find our piecewise function, just simply combine the two given functions. So, our formula now will be T of m is equal to 250 if m is less than or equal to 200 but greater than 0, and 250 plus 1 times the quantity m minus 200 if m is greater than 200. For you to better understand piecewise function, read and understand the examples on your module and try answering some exercises. Thank you for watching. This is Sir John saying, walang mahirap sa batang may pangarap. Good day everyone!